All right. Hi, everyone. This is Stuart Crawford. Welcome back to the Joe Techie YouTube channel. And we're on today with Steve Schaefer from Grok Technology Solutions or Services. Solutions or Services? What is it, Steve?
Services.
I didn't have my paperwork in front of me. Shame on me and not being prepared. Anyway, you and I have known each other, Steve, for many, many years.
Long time.
Yeah, a long time. It seems like a long time. I can't even remember how we got to know each other. Was it just like through a Google search? I can't remember now. Or did you know somebody that I knew? I just, it's one of those relationships we go, how did we meet?
Yeah, you know what? I don't even remember at this point. It's probably been, 10, 12, maybe 15 years? It's
well,
no more than chunk of time.
No more than 12, because I've been doing the listing for 12, so it can't be any longer than that.
Yeah, so well, at least maybe it was right at the beginning then.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
A lot of water under the bridge for you. Tell us your story. How did you get started? I know this is like the third organization now that we work together on. We started with ClearPath. Yeah. Of course, the transition out of ClearPath to what you have today. Tell us the journey. How did it all start?
That's how much time you want to take up on that. It's a long story, but it's not a particularly exciting story. I stumbled into technology in a couple different ways. As a high school kid, I was curious about technology. Messed with the family's computer a whole bunch at home. I was fascinated with how websites worked at the time. And back then, everything was simple, flat HTML, and you could view the page source, and figure out how they were building those pages.
I remember that very vividly.
I taught myself HTML and started fooling around with just real simple website builds and stuff. And I thought, you know what, maybe technology would be something that would be interesting to get into. I graduated high school and I started at the local community college in their web design program, and quickly figured out that that's not what I wanted to do. About that same time frame, there was a little local business in the town I grew up in that was doing PC repair and some small business computer support. This is right in the early 2000s. And I started part-time helping them out, just fixing people's computers that they brought in with failed hard drives and whatever, and kind of taught myself on that. And the part of that I really found that I enjoyed was working with small businesses and helping them solve technology problems, and the ways that I saw technology enabling their business to do something that they couldn't do before. I really enjoyed that piece. And so what I quickly learned was that while technology is interesting to me, and I think it always will be, the part that really kind of lights me up is, what can we do with it, and how can we help another business owner take another step in their process, in their journey to growing their company. And so in 2009, me and another guy started a company called ClearPath IT Solutions. We were completely focused on small business support. We didn't do any residential PC repair, break fix type stuff. We started as a managed service provider. In 2012, I bought out that partner. I became the sole owner, and continued to grow that company. We served mostly the central Illinois region there, outside of Peoria. And so I'll just skip the middle of the story because I think it's pretty similar to most small MSPs. Little challenges here and there, and good, slow, steady growth. In 2018 and 19, was a guy I knew that we had met years before in kind of the local technology scene, and struck up a little bit of a relationship. Our paths went different ways for a number of years, and then they crossed again. And he had just started a software development company, and we met a little bit off and on, chatted together, and we kind of saw some areas where there may be some good collaboration opportunities between the work that we were doing in managing technology for small businesses and some of the application development that they were getting into for some small businesses, small to medium-sized businesses. And we had an opportunity to work together on a project for one of their customers. And everybody was really happy with that. That project went well. The client was happy. So that struck up a conversation about how can we find more of these opportunities where we can work together, and one thing led to another, and we ended up pursuing merging our two companies. And just as timing would happen to go, that was at the beginning of 2020.
And we all know what happened then.
And if you had the crystal ball and you could see what was coming that year, we probably would have pumped the brakes on that. But you can't see the future, and you make the best decisions you can with the information you got at the time. And 2020 was a very difficult year, for a lot of people, and we had to make some really tough decisions. But one of the things that we committed to early on is we weren't going to let anybody go. We're going to keep all the teams intact, and which we were successful in. Owners made a lot of sacrifices, and we kept the team together, and we fought hard. But in last year, 2021, we kind of came to the decision that it wasn't working out the way that we envisioned it. And so we kind of undid that merge deal, and Grok Technology Services was born out of that reverse merge.
So tell me about the name. Like, where did the name come from, though? That's what intrigues me the most.
Yeah. So we went back and forth. Should we resurrect the ClearPath IT Solutions name? There was several reasons why we decided not to do that. Part of it was the legal paperwork to resurrect a dissolved entity, and part of it was, we saw an opportunity to make some shifts in our brand and how we presented ourselves to our clients, and break away from some of the real generalist IT support type work that we did in the past. And so we decided, let's pick a new name. And I spent a lot of time thinking about what did I want the name to reflect. And I like the idea of, that we're not heroes. We're not some type of magical IT heroes that are gonna, come in and solve your crisis or whatever. I like the idea that we play more of a role of a guide. If anybody's familiar with Donald Miller and Story Brand,
classic Story Brand,
right? That concept there. And so I was exploring, different name ideas that I thought kind of encapsulated that, and I was doing a little bit of research on some different terms, and I was trying to find a word or a couple words that really captured some of the essence of what a guide is capable of doing as they understand where you are and where you're trying to go and what you're trying to accomplish. And through strange set of circumstances. You kind of go down a rabbit hole of, looking at different words and their definitions and then synonyms to these words. And I kind of went down this little rabbit hole and I came across this word grok, and its origin is from a science fiction novel from I think the 1960s. So, it's kind of got it's got some interesting history around it. Grok is a term that has some traction already in the technology world, in the software world, and it's got a couple different meanings out there. But I came across a specific definition that I was like, yes, that captures a part of, or a big piece of the essence of what I'm looking for. And that definition was to understand profoundly through intuition or empathy. And I thought that's really, there's something about that. The guide in a story or in a situation, if you go on a backpacking trip or a hunting trip or something, and you've got a guide, there's an understanding that they have to have about who you are as the traveler, as the explorer, about the terrain that's there, about the ultimate destination and the goal. And through their experience, they've built up a lot of intuition, but they also have to understand who you are. And they have to be able to empathize with you and understand what you're trying to accomplish, what your goal is, and to make that a successful journey. So I was like, Grok, that's a cool name. And so I started, looking out there. I found that there are, the name is in use a couple of places, but it's not super widely used, and it's kind of catchy and memorable. And people go, Grok, what the heck does that mean? And you got to kind of get to tell your story a little bit. So I guess that's the origin story of that. We said, that's it. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's it. Repeat that, the meaning of grok again, just so make sure that really, drives the message home.
To understand profoundly through intuition or empathy.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That Steve, in all fairness, that's a terminology or a slogan or a phrase that everybody can rally behind.
Right.
It's one of the, it's better than saying, well, we take care of your information technology.
Right. Yeah. Who doesn't want to be understood?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Who doesn't want to work with somebody that can go beyond just understanding, but can put themselves in your shoes a little bit? Who are you as a person, as a business owner, as a leader? What are you trying to accomplish? What's important to you? How does this technology fit into that? Why does it even matter? Does it even matter?
Yeah, that's right. So talk, on the tech, deep down inside, you're still a technology company, but right. you said something that caught my attention a few minutes ago, that you wanted to do things differently.
Sure.
So again, and we also talked about the crystal ball, not knowing what was going to happen in 2020, right? But where do you see information technology going as we go into 2022? That we're February 2022 right now when we're recording this. Where do you see IT or information technology going in the years to come, knowing that, hey, we got to be ahead of this curve?
So you want me to get out a crystal ball?
Or at least, what is your crystal ball telling you?
I think one of the largest challenges that small to medium-sized businesses are going to continue to face, and everyone's saying this isn't new, this isn't a revelation to anybody. I'm not going to have any breaking insight here on this front, but security continues to become more and more important, and many leaders of smaller organizations, small to mid-sized organizations, are grossly underestimating how important it is.
So yeah, I mean
they've got to bring that to the forefront. They have to decide that security is not just a lock on the outside door, that it needs to become a truly a strategic initiative for them, regardless of the size of organization that you are.
And that's where definitely we, staying ahead of that security curve, just and world events obviously shape that too, right? And we're, again, it's February 2022 right now. There's a lot of turmoil in the global economy, with what's going on in Europe and north of us in my homeland where I come from, right? Cyber threats lurk amongst us. What are the people that you're talking to telling you when they say, "Hey, Steve, this is what keeps me awake at night"? What are they telling you?
Well, so the problem is that security isn't one of those things that keeps them awake at night. Many times, until they've had a breach, until they've had an incident, and to complicate their security posture, starting in 2020, when the pandemic really ramped up and everybody got sent home, a bunch of these organizations that had very, very little in terms of preparation for deploying their entire workforce to work remotely, extended the borders of their network and exposed a whole bunch of new services. And they had a perimeter defense set up essentially, and then when the needs shifted, poked a bunch of holes in their perimeter to be able to function, right? And everyone was scrambling to make the best decisions they could with a lot of variables in place, and decisions made rapidly to enable access. And I'm not saying that businesses should have done anything differently in the moment, but there's a lot of decisions that were made where security was the last thing considered. It was a lot of those decisions were made based on survival to get through it. How do we keep our people working? How do we keep access to systems? And not knowing what the future holds. A lot of small businesses said, we can't make significant investments right now. We can't re-architect our systems. We've got to enable access. We have to enable people to work remotely. You know what I mean? So I think the shift that we saw to enable remote work, that's not going away.
No, I mean, I think remote work is here to stay.
Right. I think our company now is entirely remote. We have no central office anymore.
That makes two of us. Huh?
Right? Like, why? I can't. There's no compelling reason for me to invest in real estate and office space at this point and try to consolidate everybody to one single location or two.
So that's a good segue into the other area that we want to focus on as well. So we got the security part, but it's the whole digital transformation, right? It's remote work, it's security, it's how businesses use IT and information today. It's the the buzzword is digital transformation or business transformation, but really,
right? That is.
I think it's a consolidation of everything above that we've already talked about.
Sure. Yeah. And I think one of the areas that we see growing for us as businesses have invested heavily in Microsoft, almost as a default over the years. And they've made some transitions to Microsoft's cloud offerings, whether that's 365 or Azure in some capacity. There is a whole bunch of untapped potential there, because many of our clients and businesses that we're talking to kind of did a one for one move, if you will, from this is how we did when it was on premise. This is how we interacted with Exchange and the Office suite when everything was on prem. And so we'll just keep doing that the same way in the cloud. Or, this is how we interacted with our servers and those resources when they're on prem and they're in Azure now. And it's just basically the same thing. Mm-hmm. There's tons of untapped potential for things like automation in simple tasks that's possible in Microsoft 365. There's a whole host of additional management and security and logging features on the compliance front that small businesses, that are connected to some regulated industry, healthcare and finance and things, smaller companies that never could make the investment with some of their on-prem systems, now have a lot more capability on the security and compliance front with some of the built-in tools or a couple add-ons. Getting their subscriptions synced up and getting them on the right, matching their needs with what the system is capable of. There's some really, really powerful opportunities there for these small companies to not increase their spend a whole bunch and gain really powerful capabilities and efficiencies. And so we're seeing quite a bit of work that we're doing on that front right now.
Do you think, Steve, that the average IT services company is ready for that, or are they still trying to play catch up? Or will they ever catch up?
I think there's a pretty large number of IT service companies that don't want to see things change because they don't understand how they can bring value in a new system. They've spent a lot of their effort educating their clients that the value they bring is based around being able to fix these mostly on-premise based problems. Watching the little blinky lights and keeping all the backside, the back behind the curtain things mm-hmm. running smoothly. And you don't have as much of that with cloud-based systems anymore. And so the value that you're going to bring these organizations is not behind the curtain. It's out front. It's what are you doing? How are you helping them to take this technology that they've invested in and really bring value to their business? And that's a totally different conversation. You have to have a way better relationship with your clients. You have to be in the place where they're willing to open up the curtain to you and say, this is where we have pain in our process.
Well, I agree 100% with what you're saying, and I think it's a transformation. Talking about business transformation
right.
and stuff. I think a transformation in the IT service world from that computer fix-it tech to, almost like a fractional CIO, fractional CTO, where you get a seat at the boardroom table to help understand the business process and where things are going with the business. And I don't know if the average IT service professional has, first off, the business maturity to do that, to sit in that role. And then if they have it, do they have the business experience? Because I think a CIO role is not a technical role; it's a business role. And so understanding business and then orchestrating IT solutions using Azure or Microsoft 365 or some other cloud-based technology to solve those business challenges.
Right. Yeah. I think there's a good number, and I don't want to overly generalize here, but I think there's a good number of IT service providers out there that got into the business for the technology support component of it and not for the business enablement side of it. And so they don't care as much. They don't care as much that the technology is enabling that business to do something new, to go to market in a new way, or to be more efficient in a set of processes that allows them to increase profitability or something like that. They care about, well, is the system up to date? Are the lights blinking in the right sequence?
Is the network running at optimal performance?
Right. They care about the ones and the zeros much more than, the business and the people.
And
is my observation.
Yeah. These are just our observations. This is not anything that
Right.
Yeah, this is how. Again, we go. Our relationship goes back a number of years, and we've seen a lot of transformation in what we do. But could an IT service provider sit down with a guy like me who's a marketing mind? Let's say it was a marketing manager for a corporation with 250 employees, right? Could an IT service provider sit down with me and say, how are you doing? How's marketing automation working for you? What can we do better? Because I've always said, Steve, you know this, I've always said, hey, if I could find an IT company out there that understands how a marketing agency works, I would sign up with them tomorrow, because my biggest pain is not the ones and zeros going across the cloud. It's the how do I share information securely with my clients and amongst our team members, and what technologies exist for me to get all of my data consolidated into one place. And it sounds like we can do that now with Microsoft 365. I just don't know how.
Sure.
Right. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for from an IT provider, is somebody who understands how the technology works, and can talk to me about my business. And I know that's what you do for the people that you take care of.
Yep. Absolutely. The conversations that I have with my clients are much more about, what is your business doing today? What are the problems that your team is experiencing? What do they complain about?
Mm-hmm.
What friction do they run into during the day? Tell me about those things.
What are the roadblocks, right?
My team can help you with the error message that you have on your desktop and the file that needs restored on this system, and the software update. Like, my team can help you with that. But when I sit down with a client, I want to know, tell me about your business. What are you trying to accomplish this year, this quarter? What's your one most important thing that you're going to go after? How is the technology you're using currently helping you accomplish that, or how do you feel like it's hindering you?
And the nice thing about what you do, you could take that and service clients in Peoria, Morton, and I'm sad in a way that you don't have the office in Morton anymore, because I really look forward to going to that little pizza place, a kitty corner from where you work. But but you can now take care of Central Illinois business. You can take care of Nashville business, but you can take care of clients globally if you really wanted to.
Yeah, we could. I mean, I don't know that I'm interested in going international.
Yeah, but you could. I mean, with technology the way it is today, for sure. So, tell me, on that, frame of mind, what is a good client for Grok today? Like, who do you want to work with?
I want to work with primarily. I want to work with customers that are already invested somewhat in the Microsoft Cloud, their 365 or Azure. You know, they've dipped their toes in it. Maybe they've migrated some resources or workloads there, but they feel like they could be doing more. They know that there's more capability there than they understand how to use.
So yeah, so an organization that has dipped their toe in the Microsoft Cloud, size, any particular size or vertical that's really a good fit for that?
Size wise, I mean, I think you've got to be, but before you're an organization that's really interested in harnessing the power of the Microsoft Cloud. I mean, I think you've got to be. This is a general throwing a dart a little bit, but I mean, I think you've got to be somewhere between that 10 to 20 users on the low side before you have enough people on your team where you're moving information back and forth. You know, if you're a small office, you're 3 or 4 people. You know, there's not a lot of there's interaction between the team members, but each person kind of has, you know, a role that does a lot of different things. You're wearing a lot of different hats. And so there are some smaller clients that we do have, and we've been able to help them on some fronts. But, you know, 25 to a few hundred team members. I mean, we've got one customer that, you know, is between 350 and 400 employees in their organization, and they're exploring moving some more workloads up to 365 and Azure, and moving away from some on-premise systems that they've had for years. And so we're talking to them about that.
And with 365, you know, obviously there's so much in that ecosystem there. You know, a lot of people just think it's, you know, email, right? Really, a lot.
Right.
But there's so much more. What we call the low code or no code applications. There's all the apps in there, file storage, SharePoint. I mean, and they keep adding to it all the time. Teams, you know, there's so much.
Yeah.
There's in there
huge capabilities inside of Teams.
Yeah. So obviously, an organization, you know, that's dipped. I like that. Dip their toe in the right. Microsoft. Really, that's all it is. Maybe they're using 365 for email and haven't realized the full potential of that solution.
Right. Oh, for sure. We just earlier this year we were working with a client that started their 365 subscription through GoDaddy. If anybody knows about that, that's a watered down, limited version of the 365 experience. And if you start there, you're kind of bound up. That's a whole rabbit trail that we don't have to go down. But they had hit some of those limitations that were in there. And so we worked with them to migrate away from that solution. And they are connected to the healthcare industry. And one of the things that they're pursuing this year as an initiative is HIPAA compliance for some future partnerships that they're hoping to go after. And so through getting their subscription to the right levels for them, you know, we're going through a process right now, working with their compliance officer and working through all their different policies that they're writing, bringing the 365 tenant, you know, up to a compliant status. and compliant with their policies. And so that's a great example of a client that dipped their toes into 365, started because they essentially wanted email, they wanted access to Exchange, and they needed Office licensing, and that was the fast path to do that. Then they started playing around with OneDrive, tinkering with Teams, what does SharePoint do? And then they started to hit some limitations and realized that they needed to make some changes. And so we're helping walk through those updates with them and getting them on some sure footing so they can go after their initiatives this year.
Is the Microsoft solution stack for the cloud offerings, obviously 365, Azure, am I missing anyone in there? Those are the main two?
Yeah, well, that's their big umbrellas.
And right? the Dynamics piece of it too, right? But
yeah, that's even kind of under the 365 umbrella a little bit.
Is it fair to say, Steve, that Microsoft has jumped way out in front of Google now in the cloud productivity space?
It depends on who you talk to.
There's a few hard-headed Google users out there still, right?
Oh man, it's you've got diehard Google users, you got diehard Apple users, and you got diehard Microsoft users, and those are the three big camps, right? But Microsoft, in terms of just the sheer size and potential complexity of the combination of various services and solutions that you can build there, I think, my opinion, yes, I think they are strongly in the lead now. I mean, you could take a whole bunch of their individual solutions and compare them to other specific players in the industry. If you want to try to stack Teams up against Slack, my personal opinion is that those really shouldn't be compared anymore. They get compared a lot out there, but
yeah,
I don't think that's a fair comparison anymore.
I really think Microsoft has come leaps and bounds out there in the last 18 to 24 months. There's only one area I wish they still improve on, and I think where Google's got them beat is on the sharing of documents. Google Docs and Google Spreadsheet are still a little bit more easier to share, than say Microsoft is, but they'll catch up eventually. So Steve, I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
All right.
The whole goal of this video is to promote what you're doing. So let's hear your 30-second pitch. Why would somebody want to work with you compared to the plethora of other IT service firms out there?
Well, I think I'm going to say that it goes back to the heart of why we chose the name that we did. If you're looking for a IT service provider or support provider for somebody that will fix things when it breaks, and to update your systems at some interval, and that's all you're looking for, that's not us. Go talk to the 300,000 other options that are available to you. If you want a partner, and I know that term gets way overused in our industry, everyone's a partner of everything, right? But if you want a partner who is going to come in and understand and seek to understand not just the function of your business, but the people behind it. What's the owner's intent? What are they going after? And what are the challenges? And then have a conversation like this. What's the technology doing for you? What do you wish it did? Then that we're going to fit that role really well. You come talk to us.
And with that, well, the website is knowgrok.com, knowgrok.com.
That's it.
And phone number is I don't have the phone number memorized yet.
Yeah, the main phone number is 309-263-5600.
That phone number.
We've had that.
Yeah,
I've held on to that number for a long time, and we here in the next, by the end of the month, we'll have a phone number in the Nashville area here too.
So you're looking, so you could technically work with businesses across the U.S. though, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're in California or New York, or wherever you are in the country, feel free to connect with Steve, and if it's a good fit, then it's a good fit, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, let's talk.
Grok.com, and reach out, Steve. It's been a pleasure. This is a lot of great information. I'm sure the people that stumble upon it are looking for your service will be enlightened, and of course, my audience will be equally as enlightened by your wisdom.
Thanks.
Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Joe Techie YouTube channel and podcast. My name's Stuart, aka Joe Techie, and I'll have to tell you one day about the story of that, Steve, how I came up with that name. It's a fun story, to say the least. We'll make sure you like, comment, and subscribe below if you like this content. And again, if you're looking for a company that's like what Steve has to offer, feel free to reach out to him. And we'll see you guys in a future video.